The Way of the World by William Congreve, we have The Way of the World as a restoration comedy of manners, or as a mirror to the contemporary society, or as a restoration comedy. The Way of the World by William Congreve is a quintessential example of restoration comedy of manners, a genre that flourished in England during the Restoration era, 1660 to 1710, following the re-establishment of the monarchy under King Charles II. Restoration comedy of manners is defined by its witty dialogue, satirical treatment of social customs, and focus on the amorous and mercenary lifestyles of the upper classes. It holds up a mirror to contemporary society, ridiculing its pretensions, follies, and manners. The Restoration era began in 1660 with the return of Charles II to the English throne after the Puritan Commonwealth. This period saw a revival of theatre and arts suppressed earlier. Restoration comedy emerged as a dramatic form during this time, roughly from 1660 to 1710, characterized by its urban settings, unmarried gallants, fops, rakes, coquettes who indulge in intrigues involving love, marriage, money, and social advantage. The plays catered to the courtly and upper-class audience that relished sharp wit and sexual innuendo in a mercenary and pleasure-seeking milieu. Characteristics of Restoration comedy of manners. Wit, sharp, clever dialogue full of wordplay and quick exchanges is central to the characters in The Way of the World, which is demonstrated brilliantly as when Mirabelle wittily remarks on marriage, "You should have just so much disgust for your husband as may be sufficient to make you relish your lover." Then we have social satire. The plays mock societal norms, focusing mainly on the behaviors, pretenses, and the hypocrisy of the aristocracy, exposing their vanity, greed, and sexual immorality with irony and satire. Focus on marriage and sexuality. Marriage is portrayed as a mercenary venture rather than a romantic union. Adultery, intrigue, and fortune hunting are common motives. The characters include stylish men, flirtatious women, and often men obsessed with clothing, and promiscuous men. For instance, Millamant is a restoration flirtatious woman and a representative of the contemporary society. The plays are set in a sophisticated London society reflecting metropolitan upper class life. The characters use elegant language, refined etiquettes, and display polished graces. The comedies often reflect the immorality of the time, showing characters lacking deep emotions, driven mainly by lust or greed. The play begins in a refined social setting, a chocolate house, which was a fashionable meeting place for the upper class during the Restoration period. Then we have to go through the important instances where Restoration comedy features are mentioned in the play. Then we have the famous scene of The Way of the World, which is called the Proviso scene, because Mirabelle and Millamant lay down precise terms for their future marriage. The scene is a brilliant display of wit, sophistication, and social realism, capturing the essence of Restoration comedy of manners. This answer is a bit large, but you will just go through the entire play through this answer, which is very important for your understanding. And also, if something else comes within the summary of the play, you can go through it and write it. Then we have the character of Lady Wishport. Lady Wishport, a central character in William Congreve's The Way of the World, is portrayed as a vain, foolish, and somewhat tragic old widow, desperate to cling to her youth and beauty. Her character embodies both comic and pathetic traits, which are developed through detailed scenes and dialogues in the play. In Act 1, Scene 1 of The Way of the World, she laments her appearance within the line, "I look like the old peeled wall, thou must repair me, foible, before Sir Roland comes," which highlights both her self-consciousness and the urgency she feels to present herself attractively before her suitor's arrival. This quote epitomizes Lady Wishport's desperate attempts to mask her age and sustain a facade of youth and desirability. Her vanity is not only about physical appearance but also closely tied to her social ambitions. Lady Wishport is proud and vain, craving admiration from those around her, which makes her vulnerable to flattery and manipulation by others. She exhibits a pronounced desire for a young husband, reflecting both her insecurity and her wish to enhance her social standing and personal allure through remarriage. Lady Wishfar's attitude towards Mirabel reveals her vindictive side. She harbors hatred for him because he once pretended to court her, a deception that wounded her pride deeply. This reveals her suspicious and vengeful nature as she guards her dignity jealousy and is quick to punish those she perceives as having wronged her. Her persona encapsulates the anxieties of a woman of her age and class in the Restoration era, struggling to navigate societal expectations related to beauty, marriage, and authority. Her reliance on cosmetics to maintain appearances reflects a deeper fear of social and personal obsolescence. Lady Wishfort is portrayed not only as a figure of vanity and pride but also as a tragicomic character whose desperate clinging to youth and status exposes vulnerabilities and invites both sympathy and satire. Then you have the character of Mirabel, which is the central figure and the hero embodying wit, intelligence, charm, and strategic acumen. His significance lies not only in his role as the protagonist and lover of Millamant, but also a representation of the ideal gentleman in Restoration society, who combines cleverness with grace and emotional insight into social dynamics. Mirabel is portrayed as a resourceful and cunning gentleman who masterfully navigates the social labyrinth of arranged marriages, wealth, and social reputation in early 18th century England. His main objective is to marry Millamant, Lady Wishfort's knights, but this goal is complicated by Lady Wishfort's opposition and the schemes of other characters. To achieve his aim, he engages in elaborate strategies such as pretending to court Lady Wishfort himself to ultimately win her consent for the marriage. Congreve crafts Mirabel as a complex character not purely virtuous but morally ambiguous, which lends realism and depth. Although he openly admits to having been the lover of Mrs. Fennell, who is now married to his friend Fennell, Mirabel is nevertheless the heroic figure. He shows tact, clever irony, and a notable capacity for self criticism, which distinguishes him from mere roguish types. I think that's it from the way of the world. It will be enough for your preparations.